Yeah, I think starting it all comes from people, right? People at the end of the day are going to give you money for whatever value you bring them. So it starts with the people and finding really like what's something truly desirable that people need, what's people's pain points, and how can I really solve those issues. So it's what I like to call building an offer. And Alex Hormozy coined this term in his book, but it's building an offer that people would feel stupid saying no to. Like they would feel stupid not to pay you for your offer, your business, because your service is ultimately just that good.
Hey everybody, Vito Glazers here, and you are now watching another episode of Vito Glazers After Dark, live from the Soho House in West Hollywood, California. You are in for a huge treat. We are here with my amazing guest. He's an entrepreneur, vlogger, and author of the upcoming book, Start, Scale, and Exit, which is coming out this spring. I'd like to introduce you all to Mr. Ryan Carroll. Ryan, how does it feel to be in the Soho House tonight?
Vito, I mean, it's not about the Soho House, it's about being on this podcast with you.
All right.
This is absolutely incredible. I couldn't want anything else.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you making the time to be here. And we have a lot of exciting information to share. You've got this really cool book coming out. We've been working on it together. I got to see a little sneak peek of it today. It's called Start, Scale, and Exit. And it's really an amazing way of telling your story and the journey you've been through, the hardships you've been through, and the successes that you've had very candidly, while also teaching people how they can start a business, really of any kind, how they can scale that business using fundamentals of valuable businesses, and a couple different ways that they can actually exit that business. And you want to stay tuned because obviously you hear exit, you think selling the company, but you actually have another insight that could be very valuable about how people can exit their business. So you're going to want to stay tuned to the end. So let's talk a little bit, before we get into the knowledge of what we're going to share with users today, tell us a little bit about where you're from and how you got started in entrepreneurship, vlogging, and writing books and everything.
Yeah, I mean, look, long story short, from Southern California. It's a beautiful place.
It sure is.
Can't deny it.
Can't beat it.
Growing up, I never was introduced to money, right? It was a hard thing in my family, and so I realized one day I want to be rich, and I was very open about that too. I wasn't scared of money. Sometimes people feel like it's taboo.
Yeah.
Not me. And so getting into e-commerce at a young age after high school was something that I kind of stumbled across with a mentor, Fred Lamb. I was very blessed to learn from him. And, I had my ups and I've had my downs. You learn that there's always cycles of life, and every cycle teaches you something new. And that's really led me to here and kind of my current company that I'm running. Every company I've built has had value, even if it's, not gone the way I've really wanted it to. But blessed, very, very, very blessed. Along this whole journey we've been on. Well,
it's really an amazing journey, and you guys are going to get to read more about that story when the book comes out. But you're a young guy. I mean, how old are you right now?
I am 26. I'll be 27 in 2 months. I feel quite old, I'll be honest.
Yes.
I think I have like an old soul or something.
A little bit, yes.
I usually hang out with people that are 40s, 50s. My partners are in their 60s, so yeah. I'm not hanging around the young crowd.
Well, you're a bright guy and you've got a lot of value to offer, so that's why part of the reason I'm so excited to have you on here today. So let's talk a little bit about the knowledge that you have to share, right? So your book is called Start, Scale, and Exit. I love that because it's very straightforward, tells everybody what they're going to get. So you've started a lot of businesses, and in your book you talk about how you started an e-com store with your mentor, Fred Lamb, and took that one on a bet to $100,000 a month. Is that right?
It was $100,000 in gross sales over. Okay. I had a period of 3 months to do it.
Okay.
But I ended up doing it the last month out of
Gotcha.
the 3. It compounded.
So that alone is amazing. But then you go from $100,000 in sales over a couple months to launching and starting your next business, which then went on to do $200,000 a month in residual income.
Yep.
So that's a great case study. And then from there, you actually talk about how you grew your latest business to over 30 million in sales in like a 6 or 12 month period, right?
Yeah, a little less than a whole year. I mean, we're not even a year in. It's been probably 10 months.
So the reason I'm saying this is because don't judge him by his age and his boyish good looks. He's actually got the insights. He's got the knowledge, and he's got the numbers to back it up. So starting a company, what was the things that you learned kind of along that journey? Or if somebody is watching here and they either haven't started a company or maybe they started a business and fail and are looking to start again, what are kind of like 2 or 3 insights or bullet points that you would give them that they might find in your book about how to start a new company that you've learned?
Yeah, I think starting it all comes from people, right? People at the end of the day are going to give you money for whatever value you bring them. So it starts with the people and finding really like what's something truly desirable that people need, what's people's pain points, and how can I really solve those issues. So it's what I like to call building an offer. And Alex Hormozy coined this term in his book, but it's building an offer that people would feel stupid saying no to. Like they would feel stupid not to pay you for your offer, your business, because your service is ultimately just that good. And so it started with the people. Another big insight with this company from the get-go was like finding the right team to do it. You know, I have the e-commerce experience, but I realized, you know, I need a lot of people to build what I ultimately want. And that'll stop people too, is like they think, oh, I don't have the knowledge or I don't have this. In the book Think and Grow Rich, I'm sure you've read by Napoleon Hill, he talks about specialized knowledge, right? You need to be good at one specific thing and you need to know what that specific thing is, right? Be an expert in your lane. And my lane was really the vision and curating these companies, which is what I want to obviously teach them through the book Start, Scale, Exit. But in doing so, you know, you basically can just recruit people that might have those skill sets that you don't have. For instance, just like as an example, my COO of my company, Noah Wickham, he's sold $90 million on Amazon.
Wow.
With you know, other companies he was working with. And so when I recruited him in, I was like, I need someone who has that overall Amazon experience, right? Because I was more in Shopify and some other e-commerce stuff. And so for you guys out there watching this, it's finding that team of people, right, your core team who have that expertise, and ultimately finding a solution, again, in the marketplace, finding a problem and finding the desire of what people ultimately want and putting those things together to really build a business that you can own.
That's brilliant. So that's how you start the business. That's some great insights about how to start a company if you don't know where to start. You know, that's one of the things that I liked reading in your manuscript was step 1, you really said just have the vision, right? Have a vision and then kind of learn to put the pieces in the right place and kind of go from there. Now, that takes us to scaling the business. And scaling the business is really, from your perspective that I kind of picked up, was kind of just running the operations of it, right? So you've got marketing, you've got sales, and you've got fulfillment. So could you give us a little bit of insight about maybe some things that might be unique to your process about how you've scaled companies, $100,000 the first time, $200,000 a month the second time, and then $30 million the third time?
Great question. I think for me, it always comes down to the math. I'm a big math guy. I sucked at math in school, but for some reason, when it comes math into business and
when it's about money, you figured it out.
And doing some simple calculations, that's all it is, right? So at the end of the day, right, you're trying to service people in whatever way your business is, but it's numbers, right? Okay, I want 100 new customers. Okay, how am I going to get those customers? We need to spend XYZ on ads to acquire a customer, right? What kind of profit am I going to get from that customer? So it's really just doing the math and then thinking at scale, right? So from the get-go, when I built my last company, I was thinking $1 million a month. I was always like, I want to do $1 million a month. I want to do that. Okay, so what's the math on that, right? Some people just skip that, you know, and part of scaling is you want to scale. You're going to start with zero. How do you get to the next level? And what even is that next level? Some people think smaller. Some people are like, 10 grand a month, 100. Me, it was $1 million. Once you hit $1 million, of course, there's new benchmarks. We went to 5.5, and now there's bigger goals, right? But at the end of the day, scale comes down to just what is the math? How much do I need to spend on ads? How many customers do I need to fulfill? What's the operations cost? What's the profit? And from there, it becomes simple, right? I mean, scaling a company nowadays in 2023 is not a hard thing to do because of social media, which, you know, it's I mean, all these platforms out there, they want to take your money. They, you know why? Because they have the attention of the consumers, right? Attention is what I like to say the most valuable currency we have.
Absolutely.
Right? And so if you can get those people's attention, whether that be organically through social media, you know, I like to use paid ads because it's controlled. I know I could spend $100,000 this month and I could expect $1 million back, whatever that is. So you need to really have the skill set of marketing. I keep kind of touching on this, running ads, right? You have to basically run ads online and get your message across of what your business and offer does. And the second biggest thing, besides obviously fulfillment and whatever business operation you've kind of built, you need to be able to sell, right? Without sales, there's nothing. If you get eyeballs and you get traffic to your website or whatever, and all of a sudden, you have no way of selling them, then you have $0.
Yeah, you got to close, right? At the end of the day, the transaction has to occur.
You have to close, and I don't like thinking of sales as like this persuasion type thing. It doesn't have to be perceived in a negative way. It's leading people into a direction that will help them, right? People want your solution. That's ultimately what you're giving them, right? You found a pain point. You created a product around that, something that they desire. It's now time to lead them to that direction.
Yes.
And so you need to have a really good sales process. We have a huge sales team at this point that runs that.
Yes.
But for marketing and sales and doing the math, it's just like, all right, 1 + 1 = 2, you know? And then at that point, you can start putting more and more advertising dollars in and start scaling. So
brilliant.
Just a little bit about behind the scenes of scaling.
Yeah, so that's a great insight, and I think you guys kind of are going to see what you're in for when you break this down more in the book and actually show specific case studies and stuff. So that brings us to the last point of the book. So you started your business, you've scaled it. Now let's talk about the exit. So when you're exiting, everybody thinks, even I thought, and I'm a pretty broad thinker, right? I'm always thinking outside the box, but I always said, okay, if you're going to exit a company, you're going to go list it online, you're going to sell it, or you're going to get acquired. But you actually talk about a different way of exiting a company in your book. So tell us a little bit about, if you want to touch on exiting traditionally, please do, but I'm really interested in this non-traditional exit that you've kind of started talking about.
The traditional side is pretty obvious. You can get acquired, there's private equity, there's bigger companies that want to maybe roll up or do something like that. An exit in my mind, because again, I wanted to build a business, right? It all starts with, I wanted to build a business that I could own at the end of the day. I want to be a high level business owner so I can then go focus on what I'm passionate about. I told you, we're talking about the book. I want to be a thriving artist, not a starving artist. Right? Everyone coins this, the starving artist. Why do we got to starve? Like, let's thrive. And so I've put this mentality of like, go after the money first, build the business first, and do what you're passionate about second. And so, when you want to go do what you're passionate about, you kind of need to exit the company in some sense. You can't just spend hours of your day operating it or, even being the CEO. Right. So if you look at Jeff Bezos right now on Amazon, for example, he's one of the board members. Like he's not he's not the CEO anymore. And now you see him flying around on jets going to Aspen and his new $89 million home in Hawaii and everything. So he's still a part of Amazon, but he's quote unquote exited because now he works at such a high level. So my thing with exiting is, let's build a team, number one, that's just incredibly, I'll use the term badass. Right? A badass team. You can put a CEO in. I have a president of my company right now. You can start incentivizing these people with a little bit of equity in the company. They're going to feel like they want to take this thing to the next level. They're not going to just feel like an employee, right? They feel like an owner now. But you at all times can obviously keep that majority share, in your company. And it can still run on the side, but you can go off and do what you want to do in life. So you're exiting in a sense of you're not running the whole show anymore. You're not running the day-to-day, but you still, get to keep the equity. You still get the cash flow. And that also might be good too, because if your business is thriving and doing really good, you don't want to prematurely also exit and let's just say, I'm going to get acquired for $100 million.
Right.
If you run your company up, and you keep doing what you're doing, maybe in 3 years from now it's worth $500 million.
Right.
So, exit right now by building the team, right? Go do what you're passionate about, and then maybe you have a real exit in a few years for even more money, right?
Yeah, that's fantastic advice, because so many entrepreneurs get stuck working inside their business, right? And then it's really just creating a job for themselves. They're not actually a business owner. But you're saying one way to exit your business is that you just hire people strategically to do every role in the company, and you can remove yourself while still remaining an owner. And I think that's the coolest insight that I got from looking over your manuscript. So really great insights, especially from somebody your age. So anybody who's looking to connect with you online, maybe get mentorship from you or just learn more about what the work you do, or even participate in your latest company, where can people find you online?
Well, number one, thank you for asking. We have the book coming out in a few months, Start, Scale, Exit, so just look out for that. Instagram, always the best. You can shoot me a
course.
DM. I promise I'm not going to answer most everybody, but like if I stumble across your message and it's a good message, I tell people, if you're going to like DM someone good, like bring them some sort of value, be unique.
Right.
Don't just like say like, hi, can you help me? Like you get a lot of those messages or whatever. So Instagram is Ryan A. Carroll. Carroll spelled 2 R's and 2 L's. Find me on YouTube too. I just, brought back the vlogs.
Yes.
Again, something I was passionate about
Right.
a long time ago, and I realized like I got to go focus on the money right now, and the vlogs will come back at some time, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was always in the back of my mind. So on YouTube, it's Ryan Carroll Vlogs. Not really anywhere else. I mean, I do have Facebook, Ryan Carroll Official. I know we're a little scattered.
Yeah, a little scattered on the brand. We'll tighten you up. We'll get you tightened up.
You find me on Facebook, but really Instagram is number one, and follow me on YouTube too if you'd like.
Right on. So you heard him. If you want to connect with him on Instagram, it's instagram.com/Ryan A. Carroll, and on YouTube, youtube.com/Ryan Carroll Vlogs. Ryan, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been another episode of Vito Glazers After Dark, live from the Soho House in West Hollywood, California. I'm your host, Vito Glazers. We'll see you next time.